I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, you deserve the very best. Well, I've got 3 emails I'm going to go through with you today, and one of the themes you're going to kind of see as we go through these is that the women that these guys are involved with, they're just simply not in relationships with people or trying to be in relationships with people who really have similar goals, similar values, or who are really what they want. And a lot of us tend to do that in life, whether it's with our career or people that we date or how we live our lives or the lifestyle that we live. Because most people tend to major in minor things. And when you're in a world surrounded by mostly people who are living a life of mediocrity at all levels, and since misery tends to love company, and when you literally are surrounded by the majority of the people that just simply don't think the way that you think, and they don't have the big kinds of dreams that you do, you striving for your dreams and you striving to want to reach your full potential and become all that you're capable of really is like a giant mirror, a reflection back to them of how unsuccessful or how much of a non-striving person they are, meaning they just simply don't have the same kind of high standards that you have for yourself. And obviously, if you're watching this video, you're someone like myself, someone that wants the best for themselves, because people who have high standards are always, they have coaches, they read self-help books, they're always trying to learn and grow and improve and become a better version of themselves. But the average person is not like that. When I look at all the people I've known over the years, all the friends that I've had, acquaintances that I've come across, when I sit down and I go to lunch, I'll have dinner with them, or I meet them at parties, and I start talking about the things that I do or the things that I am into, you can see I'm like, oh yeah, that's great, and yeah, I need to do that. Yeah, what's the name of that book? Yeah, I need to get around to that. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get that. I'm gonna get that CD series set. Yeah, I'm gonna download that book. And then you see them a short period of time later, maybe a couple months later, and like, hey, what was the name of that book? And yeah, I got to get around to getting that. And it's like they're like in a constant state of getting ready to get ready, and they just never do anything about it. And it's sad, but that's just the reality of things. And so when you're surrounded by people who are literally trying to keep you down at their level so they don't lose you, and so they don't feel bad about themselves, or they feel better about their own choices and their own decisions, it's really hard to stay committed to what you want. And that's why it's so important to have people in your life who uplift you, who celebrate you, who have similar goals and have similar values, and people that encourage you. Because if you have high standards for yourself and you're talking to somebody who has low standards for themselves, they're not going to be able to see what you see. They're not going to be able to understand the place that you're coming from. And so everything in their own internal filter is going to be coming from the perspective of trying to get you to settle, because they've settled in their own lives. And so in order to feel comfortable, they think that you need to live more similar to the way they live. And as you may have heard me say in the past, the word lead means to go first. That's what a leader is. The leader, and if you're watching this video, you're probably the leader in your life, and you're probably the leader in your group of friends and family. Meaning you're like usually 10 years out ahead of what everybody else that you know is doing. And what's interesting, a great book I read a couple years ago called The Tipping Point. And I think it was like 50 or 60% of the population has a herd mentality, meaning they're just simply going to do what everybody else does. When they see the majority of people, I mean, you look at elections. You look how, if you ever watch some of the interviews that they've done with voters, when it doesn't matter who the candidate is, when they ask them questions about why they voted for so-and-so, and then you hear the responses, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, it's like they saw something, a 2 or 3 minute segment on the news, and they just mindlessly believe that's what it was, because their guy or their girl or their party, whoever it was they were voting for, threw this little platitude. And that's why you see politicians, they get on TV and they say the same. You can watch them on 5 different networks, and they all say the same fucking thing on every network, because they understand that it's like a soundbite type of mentality, meaning the news segment's only going to be 2 or 3 minutes, and so if they can get a clever 10 to 15 second soundbite and they're just repeating the same thing, that's what gets broadcast to millions and millions of people. And the masses of people that are literally in survival mode, and they're just trying to get through the week. For them, they go to work Monday through Friday. They're trying to survive the week. They're just trying to survive until the weekend, and they can, oh, finally the weekend's here. I can do what I want. And then Monday comes around, it's like, oh, I got a case of the Mondays again. It's like, fuck that. It's like, why would you want to live that way? But being successful at you want to be successful, it takes a long time to get there. And most people simply are not willing to pay the price and do what it takes to get there. So I got a quote that I wrote that I want to go through before I get into the first email. And it says, most people in life tend to settle for the first person who comes along, and they also tend to major in minor things in life. Getting to a place where you have a great career or successful business, an outstanding relationship, you're financially secure, and you have the freedom to spend your life in your own way is a long process that can take many years or even decades to accomplish. You deserve to have everything you want in life, and you deserve the very best, but not everything you want comes all at once. It's a slow process that requires failure, learning from your mistakes, experiencing pain, rejection, and sorrow along the way. Since human beings tend to do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure, most people are simply unwilling or too fearful to pay the price in time and effort to get what they want. Sure, you can find someone to have a relationship with and find an average good-paying job, but in order to create a truly spectacular life, it requires an inner patience and strong internal constitution that most people simply do not have or refuse to believe in because their self-doubt is greater than their desires. When you are surrounded by people who settle for mediocrity in every area of their lives, and they try to get you to do the same so they feel better about themselves and their choices, staying committed to what you want requires that you have really strong and emotionally compelling reasons for why you want what you want. Otherwise, you'll simply give up and follow the rest of the herd instead of being a leader and creating a spectacular life for yourself. So let's go ahead and jump into the first guy's email. He says, hey coach, I really enjoyed your book and videos, and I've learned so much from them on how to be a centered man. Here's my dilemma. I have been seeing this 42-year-old separated woman now for a little over a year. She moved out of her house where her kid and husband lived back in July of this past year, and now she lives in a condo nearby. We have amazing chemistry, and we see each other about once or twice a week and once on the weekends. She's no longer in love with her ex, but she still goes to the kids' events with him. She also goes skiing twice a year with him and the kids, and they just got back from their last trip this past week. Now tomorrow, they're going on a skiing vacation, leaving for a whole week. Of course, I didn't say anything but have a nice time and bundle up. But my question is, you have to draw the line somewhere. Yeah, show her you don't care, but at the end of the day, she's skiing and lodging with her husband. What about respect? I'm not a doormat, but I don't want her to sweat me either. I love this woman, and she loves me. She's not just a fuck buddy after all. Well, it kind of sounds like that. It sounds like she's kind of got her cake and eating too. She's got the family, which she still participates in and goes on the family trips and stuff like that. So it's kind of like she's in a transition stage. She's kind of partially still in the family life that she has with her ex-husband and goes on trips and sleeps in the same room with him. And yet she's got you, who she sees once or twice a week and sometimes on the weekend. My question is, have you met the kids? Are you actually spending time with the kids? Because if you've been dating this woman for a year and she's not involving you in her kid's life, that tells me that she doesn't see you in a family type of capacity. If she's continuing to keep the kids away from you after a whole year, then it sounds like it's a relationship of convenience for her. And obviously this is bothering you because it's not an ideal kind of situation. This is one of those kind of messy situations that I personally would not want to get involved with. And it's like I was talking about earlier in the quote. It's like you have to experience pain and you have to go through sorrow in your life because there's so many great things that you love about this woman, but yet she's got this life where she's still married to this guy, and she still acts like a wife, if you will, it seems like, because she goes on trips with the family. instead of having her own separate place. And so she's really not in a place where she can be exclusive 100% and be present with you, because she's got the image that she presents to her kids and her husband, and then she's got the person that she is with you. And so she hasn't completely transitioned out of it. And this is the type of thing that when you have more experience and you get a little bit older, these are the type of situations that you enjoy them for what they are, but you realize as long as she's still involved with the husband and the family in this kind of way, and you're not involved in the kids' lives, she hasn't really fully moved on. It's almost as if she's got a condo and she's kind of sowing her oats with you, while the husband's hoping that she's going to come back to the family, even though she professes that, oh, there's nothing there. What you got to understand is when a woman says that to you, that she's communicating what she feels in the moment. You don't know what's actually taking place when she's away on the ski trip, all snuggled up in bed with her husband. So from her perspective, when she tells you that, it's a true statement because it only applies in the moment that she's telling you that. However, if something happens on the trip, that's something that happens at a different moment in time. And so if it was me personally, I would look at this particular situation and look at it as really she's just kind of a fuck buddy. She's a friends with benefits, and that's about it. I mean, to think that you can have an exclusive relationship and you're not really involved in the family life, it's because if you were her steady boyfriend, why aren't you going on the trip with her? Why don't you and her have a cabin while her husband and the kids stay in a different cabin? That's pretty glaringly obvious. But the problem is you really like this woman, but at the end of the day, she's not what you really want. And so you're kind of pasting over or papering over the fact that she's not. It's like I was talking about, if you want a spectacular relationship, it's hard to have a spectacular relationship with somebody who looks like she's still involved with her husband and she's sowing her oats with you. And that's the reality of the situation. And so from my perspective, this is because obviously you want more than what you're getting from her, and you're only seeing her 1 or 2 days a week. You're not living together. Like I said, it's not the ideal situation. It's obviously not what you really want deep down. He says she has no desire for him romantically or physically, and that she needs him there to help with the kids because she can't do it alone, she says. Well, again, what about you? How come she has involved you in the lives of her children? And the other question is, do you even want to be involved with the kids in any way? And after a year, you're not even involved in that perspective, from that point of view? That's a red flag, major red flag. He says, I know the best thing to do is say, hey, have fun, see you when you get back, or great, he can keep you busy while you're not with me, but everyone I know, men and women, are telling me I'm crazy and that I'm a schmuck. She's having her cake and she's eating it too. What would the all-powerful C-Dub do? C-Dub? Haven't heard that before. What are your thoughts on a mother leaving the house where her kids are? Well, like I said, I've pretty much expressed my opinion on that. But like I said, if you want to have a spectacular, effortless relationship, it's really not... It's like you can't make her into the kind of woman that you really want. And it's difficult. Like I'll give you an example. I was at the grocery store today. I shop at Whole Foods, and it's like when I go shopping, I have like a big mountain, and everything's green because of all the vegetables and stuff that I juice because of the diet that I have. And there was this really pretty girl that was checking out in front of me, and she was getting like meatloaf and potatoes, and she had this, I initially thought it was like a little piece of cheesecake, but it's like a big piece of cheese, and it's like that stinky cheese that smells like fucking vomit. And I think as beautiful as this girl is, it's like, and I look at what she's eating, and I remember Tony Robbins was talking about this, like his first wife Becky that he was with for, I think it was 13, 14 years. Because he talks a lot about health and juicing vegetables and cleansing and doing all these things. And so he's very conscientious of what he eats, and then she's eating like a steak, like meat and potatoes and stuff. And it's like their goals and their values just simply weren't aligned. It's like he's teaching all this stuff, and he's living a lot of it himself, but yet he's married to somebody that even though she went to all of his events and stuff like that and was there with him to support him, it's like she didn't buy into any of it. then eventually he realized that, his goals and values were simply not aligned with hers, even though he knew that. I think he said he knew that about 6-7 years in the relationship. But yet he stayed in that relationship for another 6 or 7 years. This is Tony Robbins. This is like the ultimate success guru. It's like, so, I look at little things like that. I look at people with like what they're eating or how they go, and just looking at somebody's body, you could tell whether or not they actually go to the gym or they take care of themselves or not. And like for me, a couple of the women that I wrote about in my book that I had relationships with years ago, I had one of them that I really loved this girl. I had a great relationship with her, but she was constantly talking about things she was going to do in the future, but she would just never follow through on it. And me, I'm the type of person, like if I say I'm going to do something, I'll go and do it. I don't sit and talk about it for years on end and never get around to doing it, changing my career, or starting a business, or whatever. If I want to do something, I decide I'm going to do it, and boom, I just start taking action. And the girlfriend that I dated after her, what I really loved about her, was that she was the complete opposite. She was in great shape. She took care of herself. She ate really healthy. She was and she encouraged me. And it's like, that's what you want. You want somebody that has similar goals, similar values to you, because they're going to support you. They're going to encourage you. They're going to challenge you. They're going to push you to be even better. Because otherwise, if you're dating somebody whose goals and whose values are not aligned with yours, it's like a giant boat anchor around your neck. You kind of feel like you're always pulling that person along. You're kind of dragging them along the journey instead of holding hands and running as fast as you can together to enjoy things, to get to where the place that you both want to be. So I was actually, when I was at my chiropractor's office today, I was talking with a woman, and her ex-husband had just died, and they'd been divorced for about 10 years, and they were together for 27 years. And it's the same thing. She was always kind of like into holistic healing and health and things of that nature. And he just wasn't into any of that stuff. And she's pretty healthy and in great shape. He just passed away, and he spent the last 3 or 4 years in a nursing home, and he was totally delusional. And he was telling everybody he was a brigadier general. I mean, the guy, he just totally, he was suffering obviously from dementia. And so you can see what happens. You get, and this woman was obviously a lot older. I think she was in her late 60s, early 70s. And so you can see what happens over many decades when you have two people that are together for that period of time, almost 30 years together, and their goals and their values were not aligned. And he ends up passing away. And in the last 7-8 years, he's had all kinds of health problems. And she's in pretty good shape, and she's got good health. And those are all things that you want to think about, especially if you want to get into a really long-term type of relationship, having a family or somebody that you think you're going to be with long-term. Because it's hard, like from this guy's perspective, there's so many great things he loves about this woman, just like the woman that I used to date that I was talking about. I loved a lot of things about her. But the fact that she was a procrastinator and didn't really take care of herself and always was talking about things she was going to do, but never got around to doing it, it just irritated me. And as the years went by, and the longer we were together, the more that really started to bother me. Because no matter how much I wanted, I couldn't change her. I couldn't make her into what I wanted. And eventually I just realized that as hard as it was, and it's really tough to leave somebody when you really love them and you think they're amazing, but their goals and their values are just simply not aligned with yours. And the relationship ended. It was very painful. And it's a difficult experience. And when you go from leaving a relationship like that until you find the next relationship, because somebody like that, when you have that kind of a connection, doesn't come along every day. And so it's hard to hold out for what you want. It's hard to stick to that, because when you look around and most people tend to settle and they're trying to get everybody else to settle and kind of come down to their level, like I said, you got to really know what you want, why you want it. You have to have an emotionally compelling reason why you want it. And obviously you have to have some daily success rituals in place, meaning little daily goals and things that you accomplish and action steps that you take in order to create the life and lifestyle that you want. So let's get into the second email. This guy says, "Hey Corey, I'm currently in the process of trying to get my ex back. We dated for 4.5 years and she broke up with me back in September. And I realized that she broke up with me because I was clingy and essentially put her on a pedestal. After the breakup, I purchased the Text Your Ex Back program and immediately went no contact. After 30 days, I reached out to her about once a week with positive responses. I get a lot of people that buy these text your ex back type of programs, and it's like they always end up coming to me after the shit doesn't work. And when a woman dumps you and she says she no longer wants you in her life or doesn't want to be your girlfriend and doesn't want you as her boyfriend and she wants to keep you on a platonic level, she's unilaterally making that decision and you don't have any choice. So why would you want to call this woman after 30 days or start texting her after 30 days to try to reattract her? Your attitude should be, fuck this, I'm a catch. And if you don't value me enough to the point where you're going to break up and end our relationship instead of working on things, I'm going to find somebody else. But this is the thing, and the reason why these types of programs get a lot of guys to purchase them is because the guys are in the mentality of, I have to do something, I have to do something. The illusion of action, as I like to call it. I have to make something happen. I have to force things. She has to want to come back. And it's all, if a woman's chasing you and pursuing you, guess what? She's never going to dump you. She's not getting rid of you. But if you're chasing after somebody that's already kicked you to the curb, you're basically communicating, hey, please do it to me again. Please continue to take me for granted. She's not losing anything. There's no fear of loss because no matter how badly she treats you, breaks up with you, dumps you, breaks your heart, you would like coming running back after 30 days because you can't take not hearing from her and trying to get her back. It's just the absolute weakest place that you can come from. He says she even initiated once. We met in person at the beginning of November. It was her idea to pick something up, and we ended up talking for 45 minutes, and when I tried to end the conversation, she tried to prolong it. After that meeting, she went cold on me, so I backed off. This is what happens. This is why you're not really getting anywhere, and that's why I say what you do is you wait for her to get in touch, and since she's kicked you to the curb, you want her to earn you back. You want her to realize, oh, I made a mistake. This guy was actually pretty good because most of the guys I'm meeting are douchebags, and that's what's going to happen because 97% of guys out there don't know this stuff. And so when she comes back, and not that she's always going to come back, but when a woman does decide to come back, you're in a position of strength. And since you shouldn't be willing to go out of your way, don't take her out, don't meet her out, don't do anything like that. She gets in touch with you, invite her over, tell her to grab a bottle of wine, come on over, and you'll make dinner together and make a date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. It's that simple. She's reaching out to you. She's initiating contact first. She's the one that's starting to doubt she made the right decision. Then you be direct and decisive and make a date over at your place. Hang out, have fun, and hook up at your place. It's that simple. If she's unwilling to do that, you tell her, hey, well, give me a call if you change your mind because I'd love to get together. And then you walk away again and you don't look back. It keeps you in a position of strength because you want her doubting the decision that she made to break up with you in the first place. He says, a few weeks later, after she became more responsive, I asked her if she was interested in seeing a movie with me over break. I wouldn't ask it like that. Of course she's interested. Why? Because you're a catch. Hey, let's go grab a movie together. I wouldn't go watch a movie either. It's like, how are you going to seduce somebody in a movie theater? Think about it. Movies and lunches, you don't do those things. She was hesitant at first and agreed on the grounds that we go without trying to rekindle. In other words, she's saying, hey, this is strictly a friendship thing here. And you're like, oh, okay. You're going along with it. You're acquiescing to her demand. He says, I told her then that I accepted the breakup and just wanted to catch up. So now you're prostituting your feelings. That's not the truth. You're not congruent with that. What you really want is you want her back. But now you're telling her, oh, I just want to catch up. Come on, man. He says, we had a great time at the movies, and after that, she had a turnaround. She wasn't distant anymore and initiated several times, which was twice during Christmas. Over the holidays, with the emotional thing of the holidays and family, she's going to obviously think about the ex-boyfriend, especially if it's been a recent breakup. He says, we talked more, and I told her I was going to a new restaurant and invited her along. She agreed, and we ended up talking at the restaurant for over 2 hours. At that meeting, she seemed to try to make me jealous by telling me about her getting drunk and going on dates. He says, I kept my poker face. And she also told me that she had no desire right now for a relationship. After the date, I suggested we meet again before I go back to school, an hour away. We made plans, but I had to cancel because our date idea was running and it was too cold outside. I asked her if she still wanted to get together, and she told me that she needed to pack for going back to school, and her dad took the day off and she wanted to spend time with him. That tells you right there that you're just not a priority, dude. And this is what happens when you go back to chasing a girl. It's like, I don't ascribe to any of these text your ex back BS kind of things. It's like, fuck that. You're a catch, dude. If she kicked you to the curb, it's her fucking loss, and you should feel that way. If she wants you back, she should pick up the phone and call you, and then you make a date at your place to hang out, have fun, and hook up. Other than that, you walk and you never look back because you don't want any part of that bullshit. Because your attitude should be, I can find somebody better. Remember what the title of the video is. You deserve the very best. This isn't you can't get the very best by chasing after somebody who dumped you. Think about it. It's really common sense, but look at how this woman is acting. She's like, I don't think so. I don't want you around. No thanks. I got better things to do. I don't want anything. I don't want a relationship. He says she contacted me often either through text or Snapchat since the movie date and seems to talk of the past relationship fondly whenever it is brought up. Sounds like you're bringing it up. Hint, hint. Hey, let's get back together. One time I ended a conversation early and went to a hockey game, and so she Snapchatted me a funny picture of herself while I was at the game. I feel like there are feelings still there, although I'm doing 80% of the initiating. Again, that's the problem. You're chasing. So she can blow you off at any time as soon as she finds something better or a new guy to go out with who's not chasing her. He says, I feel like I'm getting nowhere with her. Yeah, sometimes, and would like some advice on how to get her to pursue me more. The best way to get somebody's attention is to remove yours. He says, I keep getting mixed signals from her and I'm sick of being confused. That's the whole problem. Stop calling her, stop texting her. When she reaches out to you, assume she wants to see you and make a date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. And just have her come over to your place. If she doesn't want to do that, just say, hey, just kind of in the mood to hang. It's been a long week. I'm really tired. If you're not down with coming over and making dinner together, then give me a call in 2-3 weeks. And when things settle down, I'll be more up for doing something a little more formal. And if she calls you in 2 or 3 weeks, give her the same BS. I wouldn't go out of your way for her. It's like she needs to earn you back. Fuck that. You deserve better than that, dude. So let's get to the third email. This guy says, hey coach, I've been watching your video and I must admit that you have good material. Well, I simply teach what works, bro. And that's why I put all this stuff out there on the internet so you can see it, apply it yourself, and go, wow, this guy knows what he's fucking talking about. He says, I'm in a shitty situation. I'm kind of lost. I've been dating a girl for over 3 years and we have a kid together, and things were not smooth to begin with because we had an abusive relationship at the beginning, but later on we learned to communicate better and things were fine. But unfortunately, she broke up with me twice. She's been with some other dudes, and things did not work out with one of them, and then she came back. We dated for about 2 months, and then she broke up with me again, and now she's dating another guy, and the way I see it is to see things going with him is I don't think she's really into him that much. Because last week, I've seen her a couple of times, and she told me she broke up with him, and I kissed her a bunch of times this week. I've seen her and she told me that they are back together, and I feel like I'm being jerked around, even though I've had my share of this because I should have treated her better and show her more love and respect. I just want to know the way you're looking at this relationship. Do you think I should move on with my life? The hard thing is we have a kid and she will come back later on to fill me up with some nonsense so I can get back with her. And I've got to stay strong and avoid all that. I'm looking forward to booking a phone session with you because I think that will be a lot easier to talk about this. Well, absolutely. So what I would say to you is obviously get whatever you've got to get handled with your child ahead of time, then do that. And then that way you don't have to talk to her every day or every other day. And when she reaches out to you, it's just like I was telling the guy in the previous email, assume she wants to see you. Hey, babe, I'd love to see you when you're free to get together. And then you make a date. Hang out, have fun, and hook up. Let her bring your kid over to your place. You can make dinner together, have a bottle of wine, or make tea or coffee, whatever it is you guys drink, vegetable juice, whatever. And just hang out, have fun, and hook up at your place. Don't go out of your way to do anything with her. Don't call her. Don't text her. If she calls you and wants to chit-chat, say, hey, why don't we talk about it over dinner? Why don't you grab a bottle of wine, come on over to my place, and bring little Johnny or Joan or whatever, however your kid is over, and we can have dinner together, and we can and just enjoy being a little family again. Just keep it simple like that, because otherwise you're just chasing after her. But the thing you got to look at is, she's blowing you off for other guys, and you keep running after her and chasing her, and you feel like you're getting nowhere. And all you're doing is you're giving all the power to her, because she knows she can have you back anytime because you're doing all the chasing, and she knows she's got these other guys that she can explore things with. And guess what? When it doesn't work out, you're only a phone call away because you're probably calling her and pursuing her, trying to get her to change her mind. That's why you're not getting anywhere. You should be doing exactly what she's doing. She's hanging out, having fun, and hooking up with other dudes. You should be doing the same thing with other girls. Go out on other dates. Get some other choices. Get some other possibilities. Because, I mean, there's obviously, I don't really see anything here that identifies to me that this is the kind of woman that you can have a great, healthy, long-term, effortless relationship with just because of the way she's treated you. Again, what you're doing here is you're trying to make this woman into the perfect, ideal woman. You're trying to make this messy relationship into an ideal type of relationship, and it's just not there. I mean, you've had 3 years with this woman. If it was going to work, it would have worked a long time ago. To have an effortless, this is the problem. It's like most people, it's like beating your head against the wall. You keep trying to make something out of nothing. It's like you're trying to make good wine from bad grapes instead of just changing the grapes. It's a lot easier. There's lots of grapes out there. Think about it. 6.5 billion people on the planet. Half of them are women. Your odds are pretty fucking good that you're going to meet somebody else who doesn't have all this baggage, hasn't jerked you around, and now you've been learning my stuff, you can actually come from a position of strength so you can get a better quality woman. I'm not interested in helping you get somebody mediocre or having a mediocre, shitty relationship, because that relationship's just going to end anyways. That's what most people have. That's why the divorce rate, one of the big reasons why the divorce rate's over 65%, because most people make shitty choices. They spend more time and effort and research into buying a car than they do choosing somebody to date or have a relationship with or get married to. I mean, think about it. People just don't think a lot about those things. It's like they see all the red flags and you're like, oh, I'm just so glad to have somebody. Because they don't want to be single. And so they just choose the first person that comes along, or it's like the first warm body they come across. Like, hey, I got somebody. I got a live one here. It's always going to end in disappointment and heartbreak, and you have to get to a place in your life where you realize that this is just not a good situation. You deserve to have somebody where it starts off easy and effortless, where you communicate both in the same level, you have similar goals, you have similar values, somebody that's not attached, not a woman that she has her own condo and she bounces back and forth between her husband and you and treating you like a fuck buddy. If you want to have a great relationship, it's not going to come from these kind of messy type of situations. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching. And you can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and just follow the instructions. And I will talk to you soon.